Welcome to Ahmed's World Supernatural, where we explore the most intriguing tales of the paranormal and the unexplained. Today, we're diving into the haunting saga of the Bell Witch, a chilling legend that has captivated audiences for over 2 centuries. The Bell Witch legend revolves around the John Bell family from Red River, Tennessee, now known as Adams. Between 1817 and 1821, they endured a series of terrifying supernatural events that have yet to be fully understood or resolved. Unlike many ghost stories that are purely fictional, this haunting involved real people and tangible locations, making it all the more compelling. Dr. Nandor Fodor, a renowned lawyer-turned-parapsychologist, famously dubbed it America's greatest ghost story. Even after 200 years, the Bell Witch continues to pique interest, inspiring numerous books, films, and documentaries, with new projects always on the horizon. Whether the origins of this case lie in the spiritual realm or stem from human causes, it remains an iconic American haunting, a true whodunit mystery that endures through time. Join us as we uncover the layers of this legendary tale and explore the mysteries that surround it. In the early 1800s, John Bell relocated his family from North Carolina to the Red River bottomlands in what is now Adams, Tennessee. He bought a large house and gradually expanded his property to 328 acres, clearing fields for farming. John also served as an elder at the Red River Baptist Church. Along with his wife, Lucy, he welcomed 3 more children after their move, and the Bell family enjoyed a happy and prosperous life in their new community. In 1817, while inspecting his cornfield, John Bell encountered a bizarre creature that had the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. Shocked, he fired several shots at the animal, but it vanished before his eyes. This incident marked the first documented appearance of the entity. Initially, Bell didn't think much of it, but that evening, strange, beating sounds began echoing against the walls of their log home. As the nights went on, the mysterious sounds grew louder and more frequent. Bell and his sons rushed outside multiple times to investigate but always returned without finding anything. Soon after, the Bell children began waking up terrified, claiming that rats were gnawing at their bedposts. Before long, they reported that their bed covers were being pulled off and their pillows tossed to the floor by an unseen force. John's son Drew Bell approached an unknown bird perched on a fence that flew off and was of extraordinary size. The daughter Betsy observed a girl in a green dress swinging from the limb of an oak tree. Dean, a slave belonging to the Bell family, reported being followed by a large black dog on evenings he visited his wife. As time passed, the Bell family began to hear faint, whispering voices that resembled an old woman softly singing hymns. The disturbances intensified, particularly affecting their youngest daughter, Betsy. She endured brutal encounters with the invisible entity, which would pull her hair and slap her, leaving visible welts and handprints on her skin. Everyone was treated horribly by the witch, except for Lucy Williams Bell, the mother of the children, who was treated with respect and even affection by the spirit. Eventually, John Bell confided in his neighbor, James Johnston, about the family's troubles. Skeptical at first, Johnston and his wife spent the night at the Bell home. Initially calm, they soon faced the same terrifying events, including having their bed covers yanked off. When James was slapped, he shouted, "In the name of the Lord, who are you and what do you want?" The entity remained silent, and the rest of the night was calm. The next morning, Johnston suggested it might be an evil spirit, as described in the Bible. News of the haunting quickly spread, attracting visitors from far and wide. The apparition began to speak, responding feebly when asked, "Who are you and what do you want?" with, "I am a spirit. I was once very happy but have been disturbed." The spirit suggested various reasons for its presence, linking it to the disturbance of a Native American burial mound on the property, and sent Drew Bell and Bennett Porter on a fruitless treasure hunt. As conversations with the spirit became more frequent, it accurately recited 2 sermons given simultaneously, 13 miles apart. The entity was knowledgeable about the Bible and enjoyed engaging in religious debates. Additionally, it shared gossip about other households and occasionally seemed to leave the Bell home to visit others when prompted. Over time, the entity's voice grew stronger and clearer, singing hymns. John Johnston, son of James, devised a test for the witch by asking it what his Dutch step-grandmother in North Carolina would say to slaves if she thought they misbehaved. The witch responded in her accent, saying, "Hut tut, what has happened now?" In another incident, an Englishman visiting the Bells offered to investigate. When he mentioned his family overseas, the witch began to mimic his English parents. The next morning, he was awakened by voices of his worried parents who had heard him. The Englishman quickly departed and later wrote to the Bell family, admitting that the entity had visited his family in England and apologizing for his earlier skepticism. News of the supernatural occurrences spread beyond the settlement, capturing the attention of Major General Andrew Jackson in Nashville. John Bell Jr., along with his brothers Drury and Jesse, had fought under General Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. In 1819, Jackson learned of the disturbances at the Bell home and decided to investigate. As his entourage approached the property with well-groomed horses and a large wagon, the wagon suddenly jolted to a stop, stuck in a muddy creek bed. The horses were unable to pull it, or so the men believed. After struggling to get his horses to pull the wagon, Major General Andrew Jackson exclaimed, "By the eternal, boys! That must be the Bell Witch." Suddenly, a disembodied female voice told him they could proceed and that she would see them later that evening. They made their way to the Bell home, where Jackson shared war stories while his men set up tents in the yard. One of the men claimed to be a witch tamer. After several quiet hours, he brandished a shiny pistol, declaring that its silver bullet could kill any evil spirit. He asserted that the entity was scared of it. Almost immediately, he began to scream, claiming he was being pricked with pins and violently shoved. An invisible force kicked him out the front door, prompting the entity to call him another fraud in Jackson's party and promise to reveal the next one the following evening. Frightened, Jackson's men begged to leave, but he insisted on staying to uncover the other fraud. Eventually, they retreated to their tents, still pleading with Jackson to depart. The details of what happened next are unclear, but Jackson and his men were soon seen in nearby Springfield, heading back to Nashville. Allegedly, Jackson later remarked, "I would rather fight the British at New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch." After the engagement between Betsy and Joshua ended, the disturbances lessened, but the entity continued to threaten John Bell, vowing to kill him. He had been suffering from face twitching and difficulty swallowing for nearly a year, with his condition worsening over time. By fall 1820, he was confined to the house, where the entity would remove his shoes and slap him after his seizures. Her voice echoed across the farm, cursing old Jack Bell. John Bell passed away on December 20, 1820, after slipping into a coma the day before. Following his death, his family discovered a vial of strange black liquid in the cupboard. When John Jr. sprinkled 2 drops on a cat's tongue, the cat jumped and died upon hitting the floor. The entity then declared, "I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him." John Jr. threw the vial into the fireplace, where it burst into bright blue flames and shot up the chimney. John Bell's funeral was one of the largest ever held in Robertson County, Tennessee, attracting attendees from far and wide. 3 preachers, 2 Methodists and 1 Baptist, eulogized him. As mourners began to leave the graveyard, the Bell Witch entity laughed and sang a song about a bottle of brandy, continuing her fervent singing until the last person departed. After John Bell's death, the entity's presence diminished significantly, as if it had fulfilled its purpose. Over time, Betsy Bell became interested in Joshua Gardner, a nearby young man, and with their parents' blessings, they decided to marry. While everyone was happy about the engagement, the mysterious entity was furious and repeatedly warned Betsy against marrying Joshua. Despite their love, Betsy and Joshua faced constant nagging from the entity whenever they tried to enjoy time together at the river, fields, or caves. The pressure became too much for Betsy, and on Easter Monday of 1821, she met Joshua at the river and ended their engagement. In April 1821, shortly after Betsy Bell ended her engagement, the entity visited Lucy Bell, John Bell's widow, and announced it would leave but return in 7 years. True to its word, the entity returned in 1828, focusing on discussions with John Bell Jr. about the origin of life, civilizations, and the need for a spiritual reawakening. It also made predictions about the Civil War and other significant events, some of which were inaccurate. After 3 weeks, the entity bid farewell, promising to visit John Bell's most direct descendant in 107 years, specifically in 1935. At that time, the closest living descendant was Dr. Charles Bailey Bell, a neurologist and great-grandson of John Bell Sr. In 1934, Dr. Charles Bailey Bell published a book about the Bell Witch, likely to raise awareness of the spirit's anticipated return. The book included the first account of the alleged conversations between the entity and John Bell Jr. in 1828. Dr. Bell's father, Dr. Joel Thomas Bell, reportedly took notes during these meetings and passed them down to him. Dr. Bell did not publish any follow-up works and passed away in 1945, buried at Bellwood Cemetery in Adams, Tennessee. As for whether the Bell Witch returned in 1935 as promised, opinions vary. Some claim she did not return, while others believe she never left the area at all. Today, visitors still flock to the Bell Farm, where guided tours are available. Many have reported hearing strange sounds, including singing and children's laughter. Photography on the property often results in blurry images or ghostly orbs. Whether the story is entirely true or not, the Bell Farm remains a spooky location, perhaps always has been. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.